Victor thought he was building a future with Maya. For 2 years, he supported her financially because he believed in her dreams. Then he accidentally discovered she'd been planning a vacation trip for months with his money. AITA for stopping my support after finding out about my girlfriend's secret trip. There's a specific kind of nausea that hits you when you realize you've been played for a fool. It starts in your stomach, cold and heavy, then spreads to your chest, your throat, your head, until your whole body feels like it's drowning in something you can't name. I felt that nausea on a random Tuesday afternoon, staring at my girlfriend's phone while she was in the shower. My name is Victor, I'm 32, and I run a successful software development company in Seattle. I'm not rich, not yacht and private jet rich, but I'm comfortable. More than comfortable. I worked my ass off through my 20s, built something from nothing, and by 30, I had the kind of financial security most people only dream about. Maya came into my life 3 years ago. She was 24 then, a barista at the coffee shop near my office. I'd go there every morning for an Americano, and she'd remember my order, smile at me like I was the only customer who mattered. She had this energy, bright, warm, infectious. After a few weeks of flirting over the espresso machine, I finally asked her out. Our first date lasted 6 hours. Dinner turned into drinks, turned into walking along the waterfront, turned into sitting in my car talking until 2 a.m. She was studying psychology at the University of Washington, working part-time to make ends meet, living in a tiny apartment with 2 roommates and a cat that hated everyone but her. I'm going to be a therapist, she told me that night, her eyes shining. I want to help people. I want to actually make a difference. I was hooked. 6 months in, I was in love. The kind of love that makes you think about forever, about rings and houses and growing old together. She'd stay at my place most nights, study at my kitchen table while I worked, fall asleep on my couch with textbooks spread across her chest. The money thing came up gradually. She was struggling. Her part-time job barely covered rent and groceries, and her student loans were starting to accrue interest. She'd mentioned it in passing, casual comments about picking up extra shifts, about how she hoped to qualify for more financial aid next semester. One night, she broke down crying. I don't know how I'm going to afford next semester, she admitted, curled against me on the couch. My financial aid fell through, and I can't work more hours without my grades slipping. I feel like I'm drowning, Vic. I held her, stroked her hair, felt her tears soak through my shirt. And I made a decision. What if I helped? She pulled back, looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. What? Your tuition. What if I paid it? Vic, no. That's too much. It's money. I have money. You have a dream. Let me help you reach it. She cried harder, grateful tears this time. She kissed me, told me she loved me, promised she'd pay me back someday. I don't want you to pay me back, I said. I want you to graduate. I want you to become the therapist you're meant to be. That's all the repayment I need. It felt good. Being able to help. Being the person who could lift someone up, remove obstacles, make dreams possible. I wrote a check for $18,000 that week, her full tuition for the semester, and felt like a goddamn hero. That was 2 years ago. I'd been paying ever since. Tuition, books, fees, living expenses. I bought her a reliable car when hers broke down. I covered her portion of rent so she could quit her barista job and focus on school. I told myself this was what love looked like, sacrifice, support, building a future together. We talked about that future constantly. She'd graduate in 2 years, start her practice, and we'd get married. Buy a house. Have kids. The whole American dream, packaged up with a bow. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making you happy, she told me, more than once. You're my person, Vic. My everything. I believed her. The cracks started small. She'd been spending more time with her study group, a collection of psych students who met at coffee shops and libraries to prepare for exams. I was supportive. Of course I was. School was intense, and she needed that network. But then the study sessions started running late. Really late. 10 p.m. became midnight became 2 a.m. She'd come home smelling like coffee and something else, perfume, maybe, or just the vague scent of a space I wasn't in. "They're intense," she'd say when I asked. "We get in these deep discussions about therapeutic techniques and lose track of time." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Then came the trip. She mentioned it casually one night, scrolling through her phone. "God, I'd kill for a vacation. Remember when we went to Cannon Beach last year? I think about that weekend all the time." "We should plan something," I said. "Maybe over spring break." "Spring break's only a week. That's not enough time for a real trip. Where would you want to go?" She shrugged, but her eyes flickered, just for a second, in a way I didn't understand. "I don't know. Europe, maybe. Someday. Europe's a big trip. We'll make it happen eventually." "Eventually," she repeated, and went back to her phone. I didn't think much of it. People dream about Europe. It's normal. The next few weeks, I noticed changes. She was more protective of her phone, always face down, always in her hand. She'd step into the other room to take calls. She started working out more, buying new clothes, paying more attention to her appearance. I told myself it was just school stress. Just her wanting to look good for me. Just normal relationship evolution. I was wrong. The discovery happened by accident. It was a Tuesday. Maya was in the shower, getting ready for a study session. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text notification. I wasn't trying to snoop. I wasn't even looking at it consciously. But the preview popped up on the screen, and my brain registered words before I could look away. 3 days until Paris. I can't believe this is finally happening. You're going to love it. Paris. My blood went cold. I picked up the phone. I know, invasion of privacy, breach of trust, all of it. But the words were there, burning into my retinas, and I couldn't stop myself. The text was from someone named Chloe. I scrolled up. The conversation spanned months. December 15th, thinking about summer plans. Where do you want to go? December 16th, I've always wanted to see Italy. Rome, Florence, Venice. January 3rd, found cheap flights. $650 round trip to Paris. Should we book? January 5th, booked. Paris, Amsterdam, Berlin, Rome. 12 days. I'm screaming. January 20th, Maya, you need to tell Victor. He's going to find out eventually. January 21st, I know. I will. Just waiting for the right moment. February 10th, you haven't told him yet? The trip is in 3 weeks. February 11th, I'll tell him. I promise. Stop stressing. Today, 3 days until Paris. I can't believe this is finally happening. You're going to love it. I read through the entire conversation. Every message. Every plan. Every excited exchange about hostels and museums and night trains and the cutest little café in Montmartre. Nowhere, not once, was I mentioned as anything other than an obstacle to be managed. The trip cost, I calculated roughly, flights, accommodation, food, activities. Probably $4,000 minimum. Maybe $5,000. Money I'd given her. Money meant for rent, for food, for living expenses while she finished her degree. Money I'd earned. Money I'd sacrificed for. Money I'd offered freely, thinking it was building our future together. The shower stopped. I put the phone back exactly where it was. Walked to the kitchen. Poured a glass of water. Stared at the wall. Maya came out wrapped in a towel, hair dripping, smile bright. Hey babe. I'm running late, study group at 10. I'll text you later, okay? I nodded. Couldn't speak. She kissed my cheek, grabbed her bag, and was gone. I stood in the kitchen for another hour, the glass of water untouched, the wall unchanged, my entire reality rearranging itself around what I'd just learned. Maya was going to Europe. In 3 days. With friends I'd never heard of. Using money I'd given her. And she hadn't told me. The nausea hit. Cold and heavy and spreading. I sat down at the kitchen table and tried to figure out what came next. The next 3 days were a masterclass in pretending. I woke up Wednesday morning next to Maya, who stretched and smiled and told me she loved me. I made her coffee. I kissed her goodbye. I went to work like everything was normal. But everything wasn't normal. Everything was a lie. I spent those days gathering information. Not confrontationally, I wasn't ready for that, but quietly. Observantly. I checked our joint bank account, the one I'd set up for household expenses, where I deposited money for her to use. Over the past 4 months, there had been multiple cash withdrawals. $500 here. $800 there. Small enough amounts that I hadn't noticed, hadn't questioned. Total, $4,700. I checked her social media, the public profiles she thought I didn't follow. Nothing about Europe. Nothing about travel. Just the usual study posts and coffee shots and occasional selfies. I checked my memory. Had she mentioned any of this? Any hint that she was planning something big? I replayed conversations, scanned for clues I'd missed. I'd kill for a vacation. Europe, maybe. Someday. Study group is really intense lately. I need to focus on school right now. All of it, every word, was either misdirection or outright lie. Thursday night, she was restless. Packing, she said, for a weekend study retreat. Her study group had rented a cabin near Leavenworth for intensive exam prep. A cabin, I repeated. Yeah. Should be really productive. No distractions, just focused work. Who's going? She rattled off names I recognized from her stories. Chloe, Mark, Jessica, Alex. All part of her inner academic circle. When do you leave? Saturday morning. Early. Like, 5 a.m. early. I'll Uber so I don't wake you. I can drive you. No. Sleep in. It's fine. She kissed me, and I felt the lie on her lips. Friday night, she was almost vibrating with excitement. She attributed it to the upcoming study retreat. I nodded, smiled, played my part. But that night, while she slept, I took her phone from the nightstand. I knew her passcode, she'd given it to me months ago, casually, when she needed me to text someone while she was driving. I'd never used it. Never felt the need. I used it now. The texts with Chloe were more frantic. Tomorrow. OMG. I know I can't sleep. Did you tell him? A long pause. Then, no. Maya. I know. I will. When I get back. It's better this way, he'll freak out and ruin the trip if I tell him now. That's not better. That's worse. It's my relationship. I know what I'm doing. I put the phone back. Lay in the dark. Stared at the ceiling. The woman next to me, the woman I loved, the woman I'd supported and sacrificed for, she was leaving tomorrow for a secret trip across the Atlantic. She'd lied to my face for months. She'd taken my money to fund it. And she planned to tell me after, as if that made it better. What would she say, I wondered. Surprise. I went to Europe. Hope you're not mad. Saturday morning, she slipped out at 5 a.m. I felt her leave, felt the bed shift, felt her kiss my forehead and whisper, "Love you," before the door clicked shut. I waited 10 minutes. Then I got up, made coffee, and started planning. The first call was to my bank. "Hi, I need to freeze a joint account and remove an authorized user." The process took 20 minutes. By the time it was done, Maya had no access to the money I'd been depositing. The card in her wallet would be declined if she tried to use it. The second call was to the university's financial aid office. "I'm Victor Chen. I've been paying Maya Thompson's tuition. I need to understand the process for discontinuing those payments." They transferred me 3 times. Eventually, I learned that future semester payments could be stopped with written notice. Current semester, already paid, was non-refundable. Fine. She'd get this semester. Nothing after. The third call was to my lawyer. "I need to understand my legal position. I've been financially supporting my girlfriend for 2 years. I just discovered she's been lying to me and using that money for personal travel. Can I recoup any of it?" The answer was no. Not without a contract, not without proof of loan agreements. The money was gifts. Legally, I was screwed. Morally? That was a different question. I spent Saturday in a fog. Cleaned the apartment. Went for a long run. Ate food I didn't taste. Checked her social media obsessively, even though I knew she wouldn't post until she was safely in Europe. Sunday afternoon, the post started. First, a photo of the Eiffel Tower, captioned, "Paris, you're even more beautiful than I imagined." Second, a cafe shot, espresso and croissant, captioned, "Breakfast of Champions." Third, a group photo, Maya with Chloe and 2 guys I didn't recognize, all smiling, all holding wine glasses, captioned, "Adventure Squad." I stared at that last photo for a long time. Looked at her smile. Looked at the guy's hands on her shoulders. Looked at the life she was living while I sat in our apartment, the apartment I paid for, surrounded by furniture I'd bought, with a dog we'd adopted together sleeping at my feet. Waffles. I'd forgotten about Waffles. She'd left him with me. Of course she had. "Hey buddy," I said, scratching his ears. "Your mom's in Paris." He thumped his tail, oblivious. I texted her. I couldn't help it. "Hope the study retreat is going well." 3 hours later, she responded, "So productive. My brain is full. Can't wait to tell you about it." I laughed. Actually laughed, bitter and sharp. Can't wait to hear. The next 2 weeks were surreal. I went to work. I came home. I walked Waffles. I watched her social media fill with photos of Amsterdam canals and Berlin Wall art and Roman ruins. She posted stories of gelato in Florence, pasta in Rome, a sunset gondola ride in Venice. In every photo, she looked happy. Free. Unburdened. In every photo, I was nowhere. She called twice. Brief conversations where she talked about how intense the studying was, how focused everyone was, how she couldn't wait to come home and see me. I played along. Asked questions about the cabin. About the study sessions. About the group dynamics. She answered vaguely, enthusiastically, with details that sounded rehearsed. I wondered if she even heard herself lying. Or if the lies had become so natural they felt like truth. The day before she was supposed to come home, I made my final decision. I'd spent 2 weeks thinking about what to do. 2 weeks cycling through anger, hurt, confusion, and back to anger. I'd talked to Marcus, my best friend, who'd listened and nodded and said, "Bro, you know what you have to do." I did know. I'd known since that first moment in the kitchen, staring at the wall. I just needed time to accept it. I packed her things. Not everything, I'm not a monster. But the essentials. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, the jewelry I'd bought her. I packed them carefully, respectfully, into the suitcases she'd left behind. I wrote a letter. Short and simple. Maya. I know about the trip. I know about the money. I know about the lies. I've stopped the joint account. I've stopped future tuition payments. Your things are packed. You can pick them up or have someone do it. I'll be at Marcus's for the next week to give you space. I loved you. I thought we were building something real. I was wrong. Don't contact me. Vic. I left the letter on top of her bags, took waffles, and drove to Marcus's. You okay? Marcus asked when he opened the door. No, I said. But I will be. I crashed on his couch, stared at his ceiling, and waited for the explosion I knew was coming. It came faster than expected. Maya landed at Seattle-Tacoma at 3 p.m. on Sunday. By 4 p.m., she'd read my letter. By 4:30, my phone was exploding. Vic, what the fuck? You went through my phone. I can explain. Where are you? My card doesn't work. Vic, please. You're overreacting. This isn't what it looks like. Answer your goddamn phone. I didn't answer. I turned my phone on silent and went for a walk with waffles. By evening, the texts had changed tone. I'm sorry. I know I should have told you. I was scared. Please just talk to me. I love you. I stared at that last one for a long time. I love you. Did she? Had she ever? Or did she love what I provided, the security, the stability, the tuition payments and rent coverage and car that worked? Marcus came out onto the porch where I was sitting. She's still blowing up your phone. Yeah. You gonna respond? Not tonight. He nodded, sat beside me. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Is there a right thing in this situation? Feels like every option sucks. There's the option where you let someone walk all over you. And there's the option where you don't. You're choosing the second one. That's right enough. I appreciated him for that. For not pushing, not judging, just being there. The next day, I went to work like nothing had happened. Buried myself in code, in meetings, in the familiar rhythm of deadlines and deliverables. It helped. For 8 hours, I could pretend my personal life wasn't in shambles. When I got back to Marcus's, she was there. Sitting on the front steps, bags at her feet, looking smaller than I remembered. She'd lost weight on the trip, too much walking, too little sleep. Her eyes were red from crying. Vic. Maya. Please. Just let me explain. I stood there, waffles at my side, wanting to walk past her, wanting to disappear inside, wanting to not have this conversation ever. But I knew I couldn't avoid it forever. 5 minutes. She stood, took a step toward me. I stepped back. Okay. Okay. 5 minutes. She took a breath. I was going to tell you. I swear I was. I knew you'd be upset. I knew you'd try to stop me. And I really needed this trip, Vic. I've been so stressed with school, so burned out, and Chloe planned this whole thing and I wanted one thing for myself. One experience that was mine. With my money. She flinched. I was going to pay you back. Eventually. When I graduated, when I started working. You spent $4,700 of my money on a secret trip to Europe. Money I gave you for rent and food and living expenses. Money I earned while you were in school, because I believed in you, because I thought we were building a life together. I know. I know. It was wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't wrong. But Vic, our relationship. What about our relationship? She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. Our relationship has been. I don't know. Stifling sometimes. You're so good, so generous, and I feel like I can never match that. Like I owe you something I can never repay. This trip, it was the first thing in years that was just mine. That I did for me, without you being part of it. So you lied. 4 months. To my face. Every day. I didn't know how to tell you. You would have been hurt. You would have asked questions I didn't want to answer. You would have made it about you somehow, about how I was rejecting you or our future together. Because I would have been hurt. By my girlfriend planning a major trip without me, using my money, and lying about it. That's unreasonable. It's not unreasonable, it's just, she broke off, frustrated. I don't know how to explain it. I needed space. I needed to remember who I was outside of us. And I couldn't do that with you hovering, with you paying for everything, with you being the hero all the time. The words landed. I felt them land. Being the hero, I repeated. You know what I mean. I think I do. I think I finally do. I sat down on the steps, suddenly exhausted. Waffles curled at my feet. Maya stood in front of me, crying, waiting. Let me tell you what I thought we were building, I said quietly. I thought we were partners. I thought my success was our success, my money was our money, my future was our future. I paid your tuition because I believed in you, because I wanted to remove obstacles from your path, because I thought that's what love looked like. Sacrifice. Support. Lifting each other up. She opened her mouth. I held up a hand. But you're right. It created an imbalance. I didn't see it, I was too busy being the hero, as you said. But you felt it. You felt like you owed me. And instead of talking about it, instead of working through it together, you lied. You took what I offered and used it to create distance. To build a life I wasn't part of. Vic. I'm not finished. The trip itself? Fine. Go to Europe. Have adventures. I would have supported that. I would have helped you plan it, helped you save for it, helped you make it happen. But you didn't give me that chance. You chose secrecy. You chose lies. And you used money I gave you in trust to fund something you knew would hurt me. She was sobbing now. Ugly crying, the kind that turns your face red and makes it hard to breathe. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I was selfish and scared and wrong. Please. Please don't end this. I love you. I love you so much. I looked at her, this woman I'd given 2 years of my life to, thousands of dollars, my whole heart, and I felt something shift. The love was still there, buried under layers of hurt and betrayal. But it wasn't enough. It hadn't been enough for a long time. Maya, I can't. Yes, you can. We can work through this. Couples counseling, therapy, whatever you need. I'll do anything. It's not about what you'll do. It's about what you already did. You lied to me for months. You planned a major life event without me. You took my money and used it to fund secrets. That's not something counseling fixes. That's something you either accept or you don't. Then accept it. Please. Accept it and let's move forward. I can't. I can't build a future with someone who sees me as an obstacle to be managed. Someone who lies when things get complicated. Someone who takes and takes and takes and then blames me for making her feel like she owes me. She stepped back like I'd hit her. That's not, I didn't mean. You did. Maybe not consciously, but you did. The imbalance you felt. It was real. And instead of addressing it together, you used it as justification to betray me. Silence. Long and heavy. What do I do now? She whispered. My card doesn't work. I have no money. My stuff is packed. What am I supposed to do? I wanted to feel sympathy. I wanted to feel something other than this hollow ache. But all I felt was tired. Go stay with Chloe. Or one of your Europe friends. Figure it out. You're smart, Maya. You'll find a way. That's it. After 2 years, that's it. That's it. She stood there for another minute, crying, waiting for me to change my mind. I didn't. Couldn't. Finally, she picked up her bags and walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't say goodbye. I sat on Marcus's steps with waffles, watching her go, and felt the strangest mixture of grief and relief. The relationship was over. The future I'd imagined was gone. But so was the weight of supporting someone who saw my support as a burden. Waffles licked my hand. Yeah, buddy, I said. I know. I went inside, called my bank to change my locks, and started the long process of figuring out who I was without her. The weeks after Maya left were a blur of logistics and emotions. First, the logistics. I changed the locks on my apartment, forwarded her mail to Chloe's address, and spent a weekend deep cleaning every trace of her from my space. Clothes, books, bathroom products, anything she'd left behind went into boxes that I dropped at a storage unit, texting her the code and location. The joint account was already frozen. I opened a new one in my name only, updated my direct deposit, and tried not to think about the $4,700 I'd never see again. The university called, confirming my decision to stop future tuition payments. They were understanding. Apparently, this wasn't the first time a financial sponsor had pulled out mid-degree. If she applies for financial aid, we'll reassess her situation, the representative told me. But without your support, she'll need to demonstrate significant need. Good luck with that, I thought. Between the Europe trip and the cash withdrawals, her bank statements wouldn't paint a picture of poverty. The emotions were harder to manage. Anger came in waves, unpredictable and overwhelming. I'd be fine for hours, then something would trigger it, a song we used to listen to, a restaurant we'd frequented, a random memory of her laugh, and I'd be furious all over again. Furious at her lies. Furious at myself for not seeing them. Furious at the universe for letting me be so stupid. Sadness followed close behind. The grief of losing not just a person but a future. The wedding we'd planned. The kids we'd talked about. The house with the garden and the dog and the Sunday mornings in bed. All of it gone, erased by a series of choices she'd made without me. Guilt was the sneakiest. The voice that whispered, maybe you were too much. Maybe you did make her feel like she owed you. Maybe this is your fault. I talked to a therapist about that voice. Her name was Dr. Reyes, and she specialized in relationship trauma. Let me ask you something, she said during our third session. If the roles were reversed, if you were struggling financially and Maya was supporting you, would you lie to her? Would you take her money for a secret trip? Of course not. Why not? Because it's wrong. Because lying to someone who's helping you is a betrayal of their trust. So why do you think her actions are your fault? I didn't have an answer. Here's the thing about guilt, Dr. Reyes continued. It's useful when you've actually done something wrong. It motivates change, growth, accountability. But when you've been wronged, guilt is just a way of giving yourself responsibility for someone else's choices. Maya chose to lie. Maya chose to take your money without telling you what it was for. Those weren't your choices. They were hers. The logic was clear. Internalizing it took longer. Meanwhile, the rumor mill was churning. Seattle's tech community is smaller than you'd think. People talk. Within weeks, I was hearing whispers about what happened, or at least, versions of what happened. Some people thought I'd been controlling, financially abusive, that Maya was a victim escaping a toxic relationship. Others thought I'd been used, that Maya was a gold digger who got what she deserved. I tried not to care. Mostly succeeded. The direct confrontation came from an unexpected source, Maya's mother. She called me 3 weeks after the breakup. I almost didn't answer. Victor? This is Patricia Thompson. Maya's mother. Hi, Patricia. I won't beat around the bush. Maya told me what happened. The whole story, including the parts she's ashamed of. And I wanted to call and apologize. I was stunned. You, what? Maya was wrong. What she did, the lying, the secrecy, the misuse of your generosity, it was wrong. I raised her better than that. I'm ashamed of her behavior. Patricia, you don't have to. I do. I do have to. Because someone needs to tell you that you didn't deserve this. You were good to my daughter. You supported her, believed in her, gave her opportunities she wouldn't have had otherwise. And she threw that away for, what? A trip? A few weeks of freedom from responsibility? I didn't know what to say. She's my daughter. I love her. But I don't excuse her. And I wanted you to know that at least one member of her family sees the truth. Thank you. That means more than you know. She's struggling, if you're wondering. Dropped out of school for the semester. Moved back in with us temporarily. She's working at a coffee shop again, trying to figure out what's next. I felt the familiar pull of concern. Pushed it away. I'm sorry to hear that. But I can't. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just telling you. Closure, maybe. For both of us. We talked for a few more minutes, then hung up. I sat with the conversation for a long time, processing the strangeness of receiving support from the one person I'd expected to hate me. The next few months were about rebuilding. I threw myself into work, launching a new product line that consumed my attention and energy. I started working out regularly, channeling frustration into physical exhaustion. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected, went to dinners and parties and events I'd skipped during the relationship. I even dated a little. Nothing serious, I wasn't ready for serious, but enough to remember that I was still desirable, still capable of connection. A few coffee dates here, a dinner there. Nothing lasting, but nothing damaging either. 8 months after the breakup, I met someone. Her name was Jenna. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, hit it off immediately, and spent the next 3 months taking things absurdly slow. She was a graphic designer, divorced, with a dry sense of humor and zero tolerance for drama. So your ex took your money and went to Europe without telling you, she asked on our 4th date. Basically. And you found out through her phone. Accidentally. I wasn't snooping. The notification popped up. She nodded slowly. That's rough. But also kind of impressive. The audacity, I mean. To lie for months, take thousands of dollars, and then act surprised when there are consequences. I think she genuinely didn't expect me to find out. Or if I did, she thought I'd forgive her. Would you have? Before? Maybe. I was pretty deep in the love conquers all mindset. But finding out the way I did, seeing the messages, realizing how calculated it all was, no. I couldn't. Jenna reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Good. You deserve someone who doesn't need to lie to have adventures. That was the moment I knew she was different. We took it slow, both of us had been burned before, but something about Jenna felt right. She had her own career, her own friends, her own life. She didn't need me, she wanted me. There's a difference. By the 1-year anniversary of the breakup, Jenna and I were officially together. She'd met my friends, I'd met hers. We spent weekends hiking, weeknights cooking together, lazy Sundays reading in companionable silence. It was everything my relationship with Maya hadn't been: easy, honest, mutual. I still thought about Maya sometimes. Less as time passed, but occasionally something would trigger a memory. A song. A smell. A random association. Jenna never seemed threatened by it. She understood that the past is part of who we are, even the painful parts. You loved her once, she said one night, curled up on the couch. That doesn't disappear just because things ended badly. It's okay to have complicated feelings. I don't love her anymore. I know. But you loved her. That matters. That's part of your story. I kissed her forehead, grateful for her wisdom. For her patience. For her willingness to accept all of me, the healed parts and the healing parts. Maya's name came up one more time, about 18 months after the breakup. I was at a coffee shop, working on my laptop, when someone slid into the seat across from me. "Hi, Vic." I looked up. Maya. She looked different. Healthier. Her hair was shorter, her face fuller, her eyes clearer. She was wearing a simple sweater and jeans, no makeup, and she looked peaceful. "Maya. I know you said not to contact you. And I've respected that. But I saw you through the window and I wanted to say something. 2 minutes, then I'll leave." I closed my laptop. Nodded. "I'm sorry," she said. "Not the kind of sorry where I want something from you. Just, genuinely sorry. For what I did. For how I treated you. For taking advantage of your generosity and then blaming you for it." I didn't respond. Just waited. I've been in therapy. A lot of therapy. And I've had to face some ugly things about myself. The way I used people. The way I justified my own bad behavior. The way I made you the bad guy so I could feel better about my choices. Maya. Let me finish. Please. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking to get back together. I needed you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. And I'm trying to be different. For myself, not for anyone else. She stood up, pulled a folded check from her pocket, and set it on the table. That's $5,000. It's not the full amount, I can't afford that yet. But it's a start. I'm working, I'm saving, and I'm going to pay you back every dollar I took. It might take years, but I will. I stared at the check. Felt something shift in my chest. Maya, you don't have to. Yes, I do. For me. Not for you. I need to make this right, even if it's just symbolically. Even if you cash it and never speak to me again. She smiled, a sad, real smile, and turned to leave. Maya. She paused. I hope you're okay. I hope you find what you're looking for. She nodded. I hope the same for you, Vic. You deserve it. And then she was gone. I sat there for a long time, staring at the check. $5,000. Earned slowly, saved carefully, offered without expectation. I didn't cash it. I still have it somewhere, in a drawer, a reminder that people can change. That accountability is possible. That even the worst betrayals can lead to growth, for both people. But I also kept my distance. Some doors, once closed, should stay that way. 2 years after that coffee shop encounter, my life is almost unrecognizable. Jenna and I moved in together 6 months ago. Her apartment, my apartment, combined into a house with a yard for waffles and space for both our careers. She has a studio in the back where she does her graphic design work. I have a home office overlooking the garden. It's domestic and ordinary and absolutely perfect. We're not married, not yet. We talk about it sometimes, casually, like people discussing a vacation they might take someday. There's no pressure, no timeline, no sense that we need to prove anything to anyone. Just two people who choose each other every day, building something real. Maya's checks kept coming. Every few months, another envelope would appear in my mailbox. $500 here. $1,000 there. Always with a short note, installment number 4, or getting there. Never anything personal, never asking for acknowledgement. I deposited them without comment. The total now is probably close to what she took. I've lost count. I heard through mutual friends that she finished her degree. Took longer than planned, but she did it. She's working at a community mental health center now, helping people who can't afford private therapy. Apparently, she's good at it. Really good. I'm glad for her. Genuinely. The anger that consumed me in those first months has faded to something softer, acceptance, maybe. Or just the natural erosion of time. Jenna asked me once if I ever regretted how things ended. No, I said. I regret that it happened. I regret that she made those choices. But the ending? That was necessary. You could have forgiven her. Taken her back. A lot of people would have. Maybe. But I think forgiveness and reconciliation are different things. I forgave her eventually, not for her sake, for mine. Holding on to that anger was like drinking poison and expecting her to die. But taking her back. That would have required trust, and trust doesn't come back just because someone says sorry. Jenna nodded, accepting. That's one of the things I love about her, she doesn't need me to justify my choices. She trusts that I made them for good reasons. The question that started all this, was I the asshole for stopping her tuition, still comes up sometimes. In my own head, in conversations with friends, in the occasional late-night reflection. Here's my answer now, with the benefit of time and distance. No. I wasn't the asshole. The money wasn't the point. The trip wasn't the point. The point was trust. Maya and I had an agreement, unspoken but real, that we were building something together. I invested in her future because I believed in our shared future. When she took that investment and used it for something else, something secret, something she knew would hurt me, she broke the foundation of everything we'd built. Could I have handled it differently? Sure. I could have confronted her immediately. Could have given her a chance to explain. Could have worked through it in couples counseling. Some people would have done that. Some people would call that growth. But here's what those people don't understand, growth requires two people willing to grow. Maya, at that time, wasn't willing. She was still justifying, still deflecting, still making her choices about her needs without considering mine. Taking her back would have been enabling, not loving. The door she opened wasn't just an exit from our relationship. It was an entrance to something else, for both of us. She needed to face herself, to reckon with her choices, to become someone different. I needed to learn that my generosity wasn't a weakness, but my willingness to overlook red flags was. We both learned. We both grew. We both became different people. Just not together. Tonight, Jenna and I are hosting a small dinner party. Marcus and his wife are coming. A few other friends. We'll cook too much food, drink too much wine, and stay up too late laughing about nothing important. Waffles will circulate under the table, hoping for dropped scraps. Beans, our chaotic rescue, will inevitably steal something and be chased around the yard. Jenna will make her famous lasagna, and I'll burn the garlic bread like I do every time, and everyone will pretend it's perfect. It's not the life I planned. It's not the future I imagined with Maya, back when I was writing checks and believing in fairy tales. It's better. Because it's real. Because it's built on honesty, not obligation. Because Jenna doesn't need me to be her hero, she just needs me to be myself. The door Maya opened led me here. I walked through. And on the other side, I found everything I didn't know I was looking for. I think about that Tuesday afternoon sometimes, the moment I picked up her phone, saw those words, felt my world tilt. I think about the nausea, the rage, the grief. I think about the choice I made and the choices she made and the space between them where everything fell apart. And I think about the question that brought me here, the one I'll never fully answer for anyone but myself. Was I the asshole? No. I was someone who finally realized that love isn't enough. That trust, once broken, doesn't always come back. That sometimes the kindest thing you can do, for both people, is walk away. The door was open. I walked through. And I never looked back. Which side of that story were you on? Let me know in the comments. And if you love diving into these Reddit rabbit holes with me, subscribe to Reddit Be Mine. We're building the best storytelling community on YouTube, and we'd love to have you. Click that sub button and stay tuned.